In 2013, we set a record. For the second year in a row, we broke our all-time record for visitation and amount of money spent. In 2013, 27.3 million people, a million people more than 2012, visited Louisiana. They spent $10.8 billion, and they left behind more than $800 million in tax revenue. Proving what we've said all along, that tourism is big business for Louisiana. It's an industry for the state. It creates jobs, 200 and some odd thousand jobs in the tourism industry. So it's a way to recognize the importance of tourism. And we also, of course, have Coach Miles with us today, who's a great attraction for legislators to pull them away from the state capitol for about an hour to enjoy lunch. And we're glad to have Les here and talk a little bit about LSU football and about the importance of what it means to Louisiana.
LTPA is a nonprofit association with 800 members throughout the state of Louisiana who are all working every day in this industry. Today is a big day for us. We are hosting the first of what we hope will be the Don't Miss Tourism Legislative Luncheon. We have brought together the legislature, Lieutenant Governor Jay Dardenne, his staff and team, and the tourism leaders from around the state. May 5 through 9 in our country is considered National Tourism Week. So all of the people in this room will be celebrating their hometowns and their own tourism stories that week. So we thought this was the perfect week to come together to talk about tourism in the state of Louisiana. Visitors don't just show up. They have to be invited. There is a science to what we do. You have to have definitive research. You have to have marketing expertise. You have to understand what your product is, who your audience is, and how to get to those people. The people in this room do that every day, and they do it very well. And I want to thank all of you in the tourism industry for what you do. Today you're going to hear numbers, and numbers are important. They are impressive, and they are real, and they matter. They are about jobs and tax revenues, and they help shore up the economy in this state. But I think there's another story about tourism that often gets overlooked. The only way to change the perception of the people out there about who we really are is one visitor at a time. You can't come here and sit on our front porches and meet our people and see our places and not be changed. And when that happens, you go home and you tell your family and your friends, and that's how we do it. I think that's important. And I think that may be one of the most valuable assets of the tourism industry to the state of Louisiana. We are very grateful today to have so many elected officials. I would never try to start and name all of you that are in this room for fear of missing somebody. So would all the state and local elected officials please stand and be recognized?
You know, we're always talking about numbers, we're always looking at statistics. Sports fans are always keeping up with the win-loss record and all the stats. Well, today we've got some great stats about Louisiana that I'm very proud to share with you. For the second year in a row, Louisiana has set records, number of visitors to Louisiana, amount of money spent, and tax revenue generated by people who do not call Louisiana home, but who visit us on a regular basis. And that's because of all the great work of you in this audience. 27.3 million visitors came to Louisiana last year, a 4% increase, up 1 million people. $10.8 billion was spent by those visitors, generating $807 million in tax revenue for the state of Louisiana. Almost $1 billion by people who do not live in Louisiana, letting Louisiana continue to fund the priorities of government. You know, we've talked about the return on investment we get from a tourism dollar. If you take, and legislators, I'm going to particularly ask you to listen, if you take the entire budget of the Office of Tourism and the $807 million that is generated, and that's taking our entire budget, welcome center salaries, the money we spend to advertise and market, the entire budget, everything, 34-to-1 return on investment. For every dollar we spend, we're going to bring $34 to the people of Louisiana. We are an appropriate investment for Louisiana that's going to pay dividends for the people of this state, and these numbers bear it out. Our visitors to the website, louisianatravel.com, went up by 32% last year, and 210,000 Louisianians are employed in the hospitality industry. So as we often say, and those of you in the room know, hospitality, tourism is big business for Louisiana. It's an industry, and you are the representatives of the industry, and we appreciate what you do to enable us to deliver numbers like this with our Pick Your Passion brand. Let me ask quickly our staff to stand up. We won't be introduced either, but I want you to see the people who work in the Office of the Lieutenant Governor and the Office of Tourism. You know them, but they're all here, and we appreciate what they do as well. I would be remiss if I didn't use this opportunity to tell you about a concern that we have with some legislation that is going to be introduced. The proposal is to increase the hotel-motel tax in the city of New Orleans to such an extent that would make New Orleans, Louisiana, the highest taxed hotel-motel city in America, basically tied with New York City, putting us at a terrible disadvantage with our major competitors, Orlando and Las Vegas, as well as Chicago and Atlanta. And the tremendous rebirth of New Orleans, the growth and the progress is due in some part, no doubt, to tourism and to the great effort that's been put forward to convince people to come to New Orleans and come back to New Orleans. We don't want to take a major step backwards. We don't want to lose jobs. We don't want to lose the kind of revenue we saw in this past year where New Orleans as well as Louisiana had a record-setting year. Louisianians have rallied to overcome the challenges of hurricanes and the oil spill, and to enjoy 2 consecutive years of record-setting attendance in Louisiana and a run of hosting major sporting events that we hope will continue well into the future, with the Super Bowl in 2018 and eventually a college football playoff championship game that will be hosted by the LSU Tigers, no doubt, once again. And we want to see that happen, but to see it happen, we cannot impose an additional tax burden on the people of New Orleans, the people of Louisiana, and people who visit Louisiana. And legislators, I need to make you aware of that concern that the entire industry has, because the Conventions and Visitors Bureaus of this state presented me a resolution just a few moments ago where they suggested that there ought not be any additional tax on hotel motel that is not generated for tourism and doesn't go back into tourism. Now, sitting with Coach Miles just briefly discussing the upcoming legislative session, the coach was extremely concerned that the legislature has refused to legalize grass. And he's concerned that his in-game eating habits are going to be adversely affected if this doesn't happen. So, no, as you know, Les Miles needs no introduction as well. I'm going to tell you just a couple of brief things. America knows him as the Hat, the Mad Hatter, the grass-eating coach, certainly one of the, if not the most oft-quoted coaches in college football. Coach Miles has more followers on Twitter than any other coach in the United States of America. He's a top recruiter. He's a player's coach. He's the proud parent of Smacker, a swimmer at UT, Manny, a quarterback and all-state pitcher at U-High, and Ben and Mary, athletes, growing athletes in their own rights. He's 50-7 at home in Tiger Stadium. For opponents, he has put the death back in Death Valley. He's our honored guest today, and you'll see a brief film about Coach Miles, and then I hope you'll join me in giving him a Louisiana hospitality welcome. Thanks very much.
Louisiana snuck up on me. I came from Michigan. I went to school there. I coached for a great coach and loved them. My identity was Michigan. I coached in Colorado, coached in Texas with the Cowboys, and Oklahoma as the Oklahoma State head coach. But I was the coach from Michigan. I was unaware. I did not know this state. My first year, Katrina hit, Rita hit, and thereafter Gustav, and I didn't know what those circular clouds meant. I really didn't, and I kept saying to myself, boy, this is really inconvenient. And then I found, again, the strength of the state. I can remember, here's what I did, talking about naive. Jerry, you'll get a kick out of this. I said to my staff, I said, listen, this hurricane's supposed to hit sometime between 11 and 1, so let's go home for a couple hours and then come back. What a great thing to say, right? But I can tell you that I went home that night, and about 12 midnight, night before it hit, there's a gas station, and I won't even mention the style of gas station. And I pulled in, and there was a line, and it was about midnight, and this guy says, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna keep it open. I'm gonna pump as much gas as I can until it runs out." And I says, "Who told you to do that?" He says, "Nobody told me to do that. I needed to serve." I then we played in the Sugar Bowl that year, and my law enforcement assignee was a guy named Brian Fleetwood. And we stayed in the Hilton in downtown New Orleans, and we drove in and, went into this. I think we played Notre Dame that year and beat the living tar out of them. But we pulled into town, and Fleetwood said to me, "Right there." I said, "What do you mean right there?" He says, "There was a car right there that I stayed a week in. Stayed in touch with my family best way I could, but needed to have a presence in what was our, the decision making that was being done for the police department there was saying stay out." And then you just felt the strength of the people. And I've been pleased as I can be with our leadership. I like Governor Jindal, and I think this Jay Dardenne is a great leader. And I listen to him speak to our athletes, all athletes. And basically he said that if you work hard, if you're motivated, if you have a skill or a talent, you need to stay in this state and you need to work right here. And I concluded with hearing him that I needed to join up, and I did. So the weather here is unusually warm and nice. As an example, I come from Michigan. Detroit set a record of 94.5 inches of snow this winter. That is a record that was set in 1860. And I just want you to know, we had cold weather and they closed a couple of bridges and it was hell here. I got to be real honest with you, I think I have upgraded. Entertaining, I came to Louisiana to find out that there were swamp people. It was really a heck of a thing. Troy said, "Shoot 'em," and it became national news. All these things are unique to us. Mardi Gras, to me, I didn't understand it. It's a foreigner's view. It's an out-of-state view. You don't get it unless you go down there and take part. Now I want you to know, I kind of avoided it. Why? Well, because I'm working my tail off. There's things to do. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I was not seeing Louisiana. So I said, okay, I was invited down and went, rode a float, and realized that the people that come out and chase beads, they come out of $1 million homes, and you see this guy going. And if you miss him with a throw, they scramble for it. Ah! And I just want you to know, I rode that float probably from 7:30 till 10:30 at night, went into what was a ball after, called my wife and said, listen, because the next day I had something I had to do. You get your kids up and you get them down here and you let them experience this because it's great. I said, it really was a tour of emotion and spirit, and I just loved it. So I've taken a swamp tour. I've seen a 14-foot alligator not shot by Troy, and up close chasing chicken that he was being thrown to him at a distance so he didn't get too close. And I've been to the Myrtles Plantation. There was a baseball tournament out that way, and sometime between a game that we were going to play and a game we just played, I said, hey, listen, how about we go take the Myrtles Plantation tour? Ghosts and whatnot represented in that tour. The calendar offers you many opportunities in Louisiana St. Patty's Day, in my opinion, is better than Columbus Day. I know there's some Italian men in the room that would want to argue, but I would think that more celebration is taking place on St. Patty's Day than on Columbus Day. I believe that you would all agree. We played to expectations. 100% of the people that enter that stadium that are LSU fans believe one thing, that the Tigers are fixing to wear somebody out, and we're going to play to that. LSU is the winningest team in the SEC from 2005 with 95 victories. They include 6 bowl wins, 37 against ranked in the top 25 teams. 95 victories, ranks 3rd nationally, only behind Boise State and Ohio State. LSU appears in 14 straight bowl games, which is a school record. LSU has won 8 or more games for a school record 14 straight years. The current longest streak in the nation, with the exception of Boise State. The last 9 years, we've had 7 10-plus win victories. LSU's won 10 or more games for a school record 4 straight years going into 14. LSU has won 31 of the last 32 games in Tiger Stadium dating back to 2009. That includes a stretch of 22 straight home field wins. The only 2 losses have been in 2009 against both teams were ranked number 1 in the nation. We're undefeated 4 of the last 5 times in that stadium, and hunting will take place in that stadium. We will hunt elephants and we will hunt gators. So we've had 51 drafted, 12 in the first round. I'm very proud of our graduation rate. We push our guys to compete not only in the classroom, not only in the football field, but in the classroom. We've won the West 3 times. We won the conference twice. In the national championship game 2 times. We won 1 national championship. And that's not enough. We're looking forward to playing this new scheduling that has just been voted in. I don't know if you all have read it, but we promise that we will have impact on our schedule. So we'll look forward to playing those teams permanent and rotating onto our schedule. Now, what happened to me is I am now from Louisiana. My family calls it home. There is no other place for us. 4 kids, a wife. This is the place. If you were going to locate a business, a family, or just have fun, it's all about Louisiana. God bless, and go Tigers. The state of Louisiana is a great place to live and work and play, and I'm a guy that it kind of snuck up on in my time here. You know, as I've tried to groom the Tigers in a full-time manner, I've realized the great advantages of Louisiana.
We think our Pick Your Passion brand is really catching on, and we've been able to reach some new marketplaces last year. Even though we had less money available, we reached a few more markets. I think we're very judicious in the way we spent money. The Super Bowl helped us last year, and a great group of partners that are here today, the Convention and Visitors Bureaus from across the state who promote their own individual areas with assistance from the state Office of Tourism.
What kind of an economic impact does tourism have on the entire state?
Well, it's huge when you consider the fact that $800 million of revenue came to the state that was not paid by anyone from Louisiana, but instead by visitors to the state. That doesn't count local taxes. It's a huge economic impact, and we know that the Super Bowl itself is bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars to New Orleans, and so many of our festivals around the state are like magnets for those individual communities. So it's a major economic contributor to the well-being of Louisiana.
I think it's a best-kept secret, and the secret's getting out. I think that's what's happening. They realize that there's great weather, the economic climate is very strong, There's a lot to do, and the people here are best.
Everybody in the state of Louisiana is in the tourism business, whether they know it or not. And everybody buys gas, everybody eats food, everybody stays in hotels, and everybody goes to attractions. So we all are in it. And people that spend their money, especially people from out of the state that spend their money, turns over in our communities and contributes greatly to all our economies.
Our Office of Tourism was named the Southeast Tourism Office of the Year, covering 13 or 14 states. It's only the second state in America to be certified by the Destination Marketing Association. We feel like we're really on a roll, and it's a very positive result from our Pick Your Passion campaign.
If people have questions like more information, what should they do?
LouisianaTravel.com will tell you everything you want to know about why and how to visit Louisiana.